This is a breaking news alert from 6 News.
2 people are dead after a shooting on the campus of Central Michigan University, and the student who police believe pulled the trigger is still on the loose. We sent 2 of our crews to Mount Pleasant as soon as we got word of shots being fired there. Those shots were fired at Campbell Hall. That's a freshman dorm building. And here's what we know right now. The 19-year-old who police are looking for is James Eric Davis. He's 5'10", around 135 pounds. Police say he is considered armed and dangerous. And right now officials want people to stay where they are and stay off campus if they can. Police say David is believed to have shot and killed 2 people in the dorm around 9:30 this morning. University officials describe this as a domestic situation and tell us the 2 victims are not students. Police are still looking for Davis again. He's an African-American man who stands around 5'10". He was last seen wearing a blue hoodie and mustard yellow pants. Classes are canceled for today. Police have set up a perimeter and are even using helicopters to search for the suspect. And police are starting a press conference right now, so let's listen in live.
I want to let you know that we have multiple agencies who are active and involved in this, and we are processing that as we go forward. I'm going to turn it over to Detective or Lieutenant Klaus.
So you just heard from CMU Police, Mount Pleasant Police on a news conference that started at noon on the very latest on the search for a man, a student who they believe shot and killed 2 people inside a dorm room this morning. They're calling it a domestic situation, and that student is still on the loose. You can continue to watch that press conference live on our website. That's on WLNS.com.
It was the last day of school before spring break, and many students hope to get a jump on the week off. But what was supposed to be a quiet day on campus quickly changed this morning when police say a student shot and killed 2 people around 8:30 in one of the university's dorms. It happened on the 4th floor of Campbell Hall. That's on CMU's campus in Mount Pleasant, about an hour north of Lansing. And tensions have been high on campus and throughout that area all day because the suspect is still on the loose. And take a look. That suspect is 19-year-old James Eric Davis Jr. A state lawmaker has identified the victims as his parents. Now we have live team coverage for you from Mount Pleasant, and it starts with Jorma Duran. Jorma, what can you tell us?
Lauren, the search is still active. In fact, more than 100 law enforcement officials involving numerous agencies are searching for the suspect both on the ground and in the air. Although I do have to say, about 5, 6, 7 minutes ago, we saw and heard a handful of MSP vehicles rush out of here. So there could be an update here coming up soon. But the suspect, James Eric Davis Jr., he's a 19-year-old. He is enrolled at CMU, but investigators say both victims are not affiliated with this campus. They're not students and they're not faculty here. They also believe this is a domestic dispute, leading us to believe that the suspect knew both victims, although their identities have not been released. It's also important to note that we're told both victims are still inside the Campbell Residence Hall where the deadly shooting took place. Now, authorities are asking for the community's help, hoping they get tips if anyone sees the suspect, but they plead for people to not go searching for the suspect, and if they do see him, do not go and try to apprehend them themselves. Please call police if you have any kind of information, although he is armed and dangerous, so obviously stay away. Now, I spoke with CMU President George Roche as well as the governor, who said he came here to Mount Pleasant specifically because of this shooting.
I came here for this. I mean, this is something, I'm a dad, I've got a college student. I mean, this strikes you in the heart. These young people, having this happen in a dorm.
Officials also tell us there are still students and faculty here on campus, still part of that lockdown. They are taking a gradual approach to getting these people out of this area. Now, that's why I want to bring in Madeline Odell. She's been here with me the entire day. She was there at the Comfort Inn and in many spots, kind of seeing the students and the parents kind of coming together. What can you tell us, and what did you see?
Well, Jorma, yeah, I spoke with a lot of parents today. It has obviously been a very stressful day for everyone, but some parents I spoke to say they found relief in the fact that the university was always forthcoming with information, and they always felt like they knew what was going on. Here's what some of them had to say to me earlier today.
I'm just hoping I can see my daughter again and hug her and kiss her and bring her home.
Tracy Beverly is one of dozens of parents who came here to the Comfort Inn in Mount Pleasant after finding out her daughter's school was on lockdown.
She told me that there was an active shooter. I'm like going, I honestly didn't know what to say. I was just like going, here we go again.
I also spoke with some students here on CMU's campus. I'll have reaction from them coming up tonight on 6 News at 6. Here for you on CMU's campus, Madeline Odell, 6 News.
Okay, thank you, Jorma and Madeline. Well, when news of the shooting broke, people took to Twitter sharing the latest information and their feelings about gun violence. And that includes some student survivors from that shooting in Parkland, Florida. Sherry Jones is here for you now live in our studio. And Sherry, what are they saying?
Well, Lauren, when students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School learned that 2 people had been killed during a shooting on CMU's campus, they took to Twitter to show their support and push for more gun control. Emma Gonzalez writes, "Protect your children. Make the changes. We aren't acting. We are dying."
Thanks for joining us. I'm Siobhan Klepfer. Jorma Duran is at Central Michigan University tonight to bring us updates on the deadly shooting there. Here's what we know right now. 2 people were shot and killed at Campbell Hall on CMU's campus in Mount Pleasant this morning. That's a freshman dorm building. Officials are identifying the suspect as 19-year-old James Eric Davis. They say the victims were Davis's parents. His father was a police officer in the Chicago area. It's been 9 hours now since the shooting, and police still don't have the suspect in custody. He is 5'10" and about 135 pounds. Now, we sent 2 of our crews to Mount Pleasant as soon as we heard about the shots being fired.
Now, here's some footage we got earlier this afternoon of students being bused off campus to the Comfort Inn. That's where parents were told to stay while campus remained on lockdown. Those I spoke to told me they were concerned at first because of the school shooting that happened in Florida earlier this month. But once they found out it was a relatively isolated incident, they began to feel better. However, some parents say this raised some questions about how safe CMU's campus really is.
I think that security on campus could be a little better in regards to when the kids are freely to come in and out of the doors there at their halls, and they want them to have open door policy where they keep their doors open, which I think is a no-go too.
A community is in shock after 2 people were shot and killed today on the campus of Central Michigan University. It is our top story tonight at 6. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones.
And I'm Lauren Thompson. It was the last day before spring break for CMU students.
But the excitement to take some time off from class was shattered when shots rang out at around 8:30 this morning.
It happened on the 4th floor of CMU's Campbell Hall. That's a residence hall on the university's main campus in Mount Pleasant.
When police arrived, they found 2 people had been fatally shot. The shooter is believed to be a student, 19-year-old James Eric Davis Jr. of Illinois. And a state representative from Illinois has identified the victims as Chicago area police officer James Davis Sr. and his wife. Tensions are still high in Mount Pleasant because the shooter is still on the loose.
Well, we have team coverage for you tonight. We start with Jorma Duran. He's live on campus right now. What can you tell us about the search, Jorma?
Sherry, Lauren, the search for 19-year-old James Eric Davis Jr. is still underway. More than 100 officers are out searching for him, both on the ground and in the air, although it's going to get dark very soon, so the air search will likely need to cease. Now, Davis is a student here at Central Michigan University, but authorities say both shooting victims are not students or faculty. We were told this is a domestic dispute, and as we just mentioned, involving the suspect's parents, who are still inside Campbell Residence Hall where the shooting took place. Officials tell me Davis was last seen running north of campus shortly after the incident, wearing a dark-colored hoodie, but investigators say they found clothing they believe was his as they were searching for him, so authorities hope someone will recognize him and call 911. Now, this incident is far different than the Parkland, Florida school shooting, but according to both Governor Snyder and President Ross, this will again bring up the gun debate and gun-free zones. Governor Snyder says this shows that it's not just a K-12 issue, and President Ross told me his staff works hard and is vigilant to make sure that this is a gun-free zone, but at any time during the day or during the school year, this is an open campus, and 30,000 people may be here on school grounds.
All right, thank you, Jorma. Now, we were able to contact one of Davis's professors at CMU this morning.
He wanted to stay anonymous, but did give us some insight into the suspect's mindset. Now, the professor says Davis was not himself in class on Wednesday, and something was clearly on his mind. He He says Davis wasn't very social with other students, but was usually a good student and a friendly person with a passion to become a teacher.
We're going to send it back to our team on CMU's campus. Madeline Odell is there getting reaction from students and parents tonight. Maddie, what did they tell you?
Sherry and Lauren, students are now being allowed to leave and go back into their dorms, but that wasn't the case even just a couple hours ago. We spoke to some students earlier today who were here before they were able to leave.
Regarding this morning's incident on CMU's campus, the suspect is still at large.
This is the message students at Central Michigan University received this morning.
At this time, please shelter in place where you are if you are located on CMU's campus. Thank you.
Warning them about an active shooter on their campus.
I just kind of think like it would never happen here, but just crazy people, crazy world.
Thank you, Madeline. With the events unfolding at CMU, we talked to officials at Michigan State to see what procedures the university's police have in place in case of an active shooter situation. Alicia Bergio is here for you in studio tonight. Alicia, what did you learn?
Sherry, MSU police couldn't tell me exactly what procedures they have in place because they don't want to tip their hand in the event there was an active shooter on campus. But officials do say they take these types of situations very seriously to make sure their officers are properly trained for rapid intervention. The MSU Police Department provides active violence programs that are offered to faculty, staff, and students. There's also information and resources available on their website.
All right, thanks, Alicia. We'll stay with 6 News. We will continue to bring you all of the latest developments and new information as the investigation into the Central Michigan University shooting continues.
This is 6 News at 11.
The search is still on for a Central Michigan University student who police say shot and killed his parents in a residence hall today. It is our top story tonight at 11. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones. Several different law enforcement agencies have joined in the search for 19-year-old James Eric Davis Jr., who is the main suspect in the CMU shooting. Here's a breakdown of the incident. Now, last night, Davis was treated at a hospital for drug-related health issues. Then, around 8:30 this morning, police got reports of shots fired on the 4th floor of CMU's Campbell Hall in Mount Pleasant. When officers arrived, they found 2 people dead. We have confirmed that the victims were Davis's parents, Officer James Davis Sr. from the Bellwood Police Department near Chicago, and his wife, Diva Davis, both 47 years old. More than 100 police officers are now searching for the younger Davis. All events and activities on campus are canceled until further notice, including any classes scheduled for tomorrow. Davis is 5'10" and weighs about 135 pounds. Police are hoping that tips from the public will lead to his arrest. Governor Rick Snyder weighed in on the tragedy as well, saying this demonstrates how far-reaching the issue of guns in schools has become, and he's calling for broad action.
We were already active looking at what we can do on our campuses and our schools to protect people better. This reinforces the point. This is not simply about K-12. This is an outstanding university, and we need to include our campuses, our universities and community colleges, and how we can do more to help protect our students and our staff.
The situation that unfolded at Central Michigan University today hits near and far. Alicia Bergio is here for you now with how Michigan State University is reacting to this tragedy and the protocol that MSU police has in place in the case of an active shooter situation there. Alicia?
Sherry, the situation is still very much evolving, and we're continuing to learn more details as the day goes on. But in the midst of this tragedy, Michigan State University interim president John Engler let his thoughts be known, saying this shooting hits home for him. Engler released a letter to the MSU community. He says in part, "I was shocked and I'm grieved to learn about the gunfire deaths at CMU this morning. Mount Pleasant is my hometown, and I know the impacts of this tragedy will afflict the entire community." Engler goes on to say security on campus is a priority for universities everywhere, including at Michigan State. He says MSU police have extensive planning in place for an active shooter incident. Now, I spoke with the MSU Police Department earlier today, and Captain Doug Monette says when an emergency is happening, depending on the situation, you should either run, hide, or fight. Captain Monette also says MSU Police provides active violence training for faculty, staff, and students. There's also information and resources available on their website. That includes the MSU Alert System. Police use this to notify those on or near campus in the case of an emergency.
When these incidents, these tragic incidents occur across the country, one of the things that we do is we always do the research and get the best practices, lessons learned, and we try to implement that with our training.